Hi, I'm Shawn Bibb, Peer Services Associate Director for Bridges to Change. I just wanted to take a few minutes this morning. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on, share a little bit about my story and kind of how I got to where I am today. Um, it didn't always start like this. When I was 5 years old, my parents divorced. I learned at a young age how to manipulate, how to get what I wanted, and that led me down a path of a lot of antisocial behaviors. Um, I had a real bad thinking pattern of instant gratification. I want it now. And that started really at a young age. Um, but about 13, I started getting in trouble with the law. And my parents would always bail me out of trouble until I was about 18 when the DA wouldn't allow that. Um, and so, without going into too much detail about my past, I can just tell you that I spent the better part of 15 years on and off, in and out of prisons and jails. And at about 30 was my last arrest. Um, and it was here in Oregon. And about 3 years into that sentence, I received divorce papers. Um, and that kind of sent me on the deep end. And my whole goal was to get out of prison and catch as much time as I could and get back in there. I was super comfortable in there at that point, and I felt that was the safest place for me. Um, but Department of Corrections had a better idea than I did, of course, and they sent me to treatment at Turning Point. With Mr. Keller was my counselor. Some of you may know him. Um, and what I learned there is that my thought patterns and my thinking was way off. It took many months of counseling, group counseling, to understand where my thinking patterns were wrong. A lot of accountability, a lot of lessons, um, but it was worth it. And so at the end of that, I was released in 2014, and I came to Bridges to Change actually as a client. I went to the Bush House, and I worked with a few mentors back then, and they told me the same things that we ask of people today. Go to a couple meetings a week, get a job, save money, find some sort of safe independent housing, build connections with people, and that's just what I did ultimately. I started going to PCC. I worked at Subway um, for many months, making sandwiches, but that was really good for me because it taught me to to interact with people, something that I hadn't had for many years. I had been so antisocial. Um, then, about 45 days after living in Bridges, I found clean and sober housing, and I moved out, and I was going to school to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and I fell somewhat into the class to become a recovery mentor. And in 2016, excuse me, when I was finally off of parole, I applied for a job at Bridges to Change and have slowly but surely, and over the last 4+ years, worked my way into the associate director position that I now hold. Um, you know, and the reason I share my story is because, much like everybody who comes through Bridges, most of us who work here have been through that. Um, and we're in these trying times right now where some people can't work, we're stuck at home, cabin fever setting in, and there's a lot of uncertainty of what's going to happen in the future. But what I can tell you is, if you're sitting here in a Bridges house, you've overcome a lot. And this is just a mild little hiccup um, in what we've overcome. I just want to motivate you to continue doing what you're doing, build that community, make those friends that you need to make. Um, those people are still going to be there when this is over. Everybody's pretty much locked in their house at this point. Um, get out, do some self care, go for a walk. But it's a lot of time of reflection, and I've had a lot of time to reflect over the last 2 weeks. And I'm just really appreciative of all the people that came before me and put the effort in. And that's why I do what I do. Is I see the worth in everybody, and I want everybody to understand that they don't have to go back to prison. They have plenty of people that want to fill those beds. So let's just go ahead and move forward in life, make that community. That's the biggest key. Make the community. Find your people, because that's what is going to keep you from going back, going to keep you from falling off the edge. Find your people, however that looks. And I look forward, and once this is over, to meeting each and every one of you. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I would love to talk. Um, I wish you all the best. Take care.